Welcome to Kaizen Time, part of the Blood, Sweat, and Business podcast, where we provide constant improvement to businesses through timely, actionable financial solutions. Do you want answers to your financial questions? Email us at bsp@kaizencpas.com. I'm your host, Mark Valesky. Now let's get started. Welcome to another episode of Kaizen Time. I'm joined by Eric Jorn, a partner here at the firm. Eric, how are you doing?
Oh, man. I just checked my stock portfolio. It's so bad.
Why? What's going on?
Oh, the market as a whole, it's completely tanked.
And what's the reason for that?
You wouldn't believe it, but tariffs.
Tariffs.
Oh, it's terriful.
Are they terrifying?
They are
They're
terrifying
your portfolio.
It is.
So, and that's because of uncertainty, right?
Yes.
Because like any business, any stock portfolio, uncertainty is scary.
Yep.
There's a cost or a chance of loss.
Yep.
And that causes people to be like, well, there's no reason in holding on, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The market loves stability. Absolutely loves stability.
Okay. So let's get into tariffs because they are this kind of unknown
hot topic, right? For everybody right now.
Well, and basically they haven't really been a hot topic in decades.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, right. For the longest time, the United States was just a heavy participant in international trade.
Mm-hmm.
So it really was just tariffs always exist.
Yes.
To the extent of what we're talking about. And it's completely different depending on what country it is, what you're getting. Everything is, all over the place. But what I can say is these are massively changing tariffs, meaning, we could go from a 3% to an 80% tariff. And
I just want to add a little bit of clarity. It's not that tariffs never have existed before. They have. It's just never been like a big component of trade, like this much, and then this much change.
And maybe a good place to start is, what is even a tariff, right? Some listeners might not quite understand. They're hearing the buzzword and they're like, hey, what is a tariff? Mm-hmm. So a tariff essentially is a tax on imported goods. So you get something from another country. Before it's allowed into the country, there's a tax that needs to get paid on that product. And that tax is paid by the recipient inside of the United States.
Okay. So ultimately, the recipient, meaning the business that wanted said item to sell,
yep,
is paying that. And then therefore, they're going to put that onto the people who are purchasing off of them, right? Because they're not just going to eat that cost.
Well, there's a huge mix of what's happening there. Tariffs obviously exist because they want people to bring manufacturing and product creation domestically.
Right. So to completely avoid the tariffs, you do it all within the country.
Yep. You keep the, sourcing raw materials in every step of the manufacturing process within the United States. You can avoid tariffs that way. Mm-hmm. Let's be honest. Does it make sense in certain cases and make complete nonsense in other cases? Sure. But it's a strategy, and it's the world we're in right now. Unfortunately, some of the talks have kind of backed off a little bit on some of these tariffs, but we're already hearing about things that our clients are dealing with, and how are we tackling tariffs just as a business, right? So, I have a product that I have that I normally costs me $100. Now it's got an additional 50% tariff on it. Now I'm paying $150 for that same exact product. How do I manage that as a business? Well, there's a multitude of things we're hearing. Some overseas manufacturers and suppliers are bearing part of that cost. So they might, instead of charging you $100 for that product, now they're charging you $80. Okay. So now that 50% is more like, now your product cost is more like $120. At the 50% tariff. Now you have an option where either you can eat that extra $20 or you can pass that along to your customer. All right. And those really are the three things that we're seeing. And obviously you can look for alternatives, right? You can source alternative parts, components, manufacture the product, find a manufacturer here inside the States to also do that. And you have to do a cost benefit analysis, right? If even with the tariffs, if that product still costs $150, but to me to source that product domestically and it costs $300, mm-hmm. Well, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Now, if that product costs $180 domestically and then the tariffed product costs me $150, maybe we do look to make that decision. Or if it's even less than that, post-tariff rate.
We've talked a lot about a parts pricing matrix. I feel like that kind of falls in line with this.
Yeah. So we work with a lot of shop owners, right? So one of the main things is how is this going to affect the automotive repair community, especially because let's face it, a lot of parts are manufactured overseas through various countries. And sometimes you really just don't have a choice, right? You might have a Euro car that no matter what, you're going to have to source that part from Europe. Same thing with Asian vehicles as well. So how do we manage this? And you brought up the exact right thing, right? They're actually automotive repair facilities are really set up well to deal with tariffs.
Okay. And not just them, like anyone in any business could do this.
Yep.
You know, basically you have all your parts on a spreadsheet and have them prepared, know what's in there and plug in the values based on
flexible pricing strategies, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, you got to be on top of it though. You have to stay on top of these things because not every product is coming from the same place.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, correct. Right. You might buy this $100 product here with a 50% tariff. This one might have a 20% tariff, and this one might have an 80% tariff. But the beautiful thing about a parts pricing matrix is that cost now, no matter what the cost is, whether it's $100 or $150, hits that same multiple for markup, depending on where it fits inside of your matrix. And therefore, you're still charging an appropriate margin on that part.
Okay.
And what's actually more interesting about tariffs is, consumers are going to have to deal with the cost increase because of them. Well, under a parts pricing matrix situation, you might actually end up with more gross profit dollars because of these tariffs than you would if you didn't have that pricing strategy.
Okay. So in many ways, tariffs are really just forcing everyone to, again, be flexible, stay on top of their pricing, staying on top of their vendors, right? So is that really like the ultimate strategy?
Absolutely, right? That's the best thing you can do as the business owner. Now, there's risks, right? There could be the shop down the street or the business down the street could say, you know what, I'm going to eat some of these tariffs, and now I'm a lower price competitor, and I'm a lower priced alternative when you actually have to charge the premium because of the tariffs, and they're actually eating some of it. There might be some price pressures. However, at least in the automotive repair industry, we're affected, only a certain amount. Automotive,
because people need vehicles.
Yep.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: who's going to get affected much more are the actual manufacturers and the retailers of those vehicles, right? A new car. I've heard some studies where new cars could be increasing 20+%. Mm-hmm. And what do you think when new car prices inflate? That does really good things for the automotive repair industry, right? People will more likely keep and repair their vehicle versus trade in and buy new. So, when I look at tariffs in the automotive repair space, I look at it as a really strong opportunity, right? Where we might get greater markups in our parts because the part costs will inflate. Mm-hmm. Now, we do have to be careful. We might want to look at our parts pricing matrices and maybe expand some of our markup zones, right? Because depending on the part, as the part cost goes up, my markup rate goes down. So I might want to expand that. So because if I have a part that goes from a 3x markup to the 2x markup because of the tariff expansion, I might actually make less on that part. So you might want to look at your matrix as it exists today and increase each one of your tiers based on the part cost.
So one thing I just want to throw out there, because I know we've kind of brought it up a little bit in the past, don't change things too much, right? Yeah. A lot of this volatility that's happening in the stock market with the tariffs is because of this dramatic change we're going through.
Yeah.
Now, if these tariffs were just shifted up 5% for everyone, and just like incremental changes, no one would be freaking out.
Yeah.
It would be a nothing. So, on the other hand, from a shop level, because these are all just small businesses, if you made dramatic changes like that, would it be fair to say they go out of business pretty quick?
Yeah, more than likely, right? If you took all your prices and increased them by 50% or greater, unless you were severely underpriced, right? There's there are businesses that are severely underpriced. There's shops charging under $100 a labor hour still that live out there. Yep. They could probably get away with a 50% parts or price increase and actually survive. But, us who have been charging proper rates and we go and increase at 50%, that could be relatively catastrophic.
So I guess overall what I'm thinking is that make incremental changes, see kind of what happens, and I guess stay on top of it, because that's what we're all going to have to do over probably the course of the next couple quarters.
Yeah. Well, one thing you could do as well, or one of the brilliant things is, say in TechMetric as a part, when you use a parts pricing matrix, you can have 5 different ones. So you can have one for parts subject to tariff increases. So when you bring in that part and we're going to price it, we could put it against the tariff one, and therefore non-tariff parts still live in the same parts pricing matrix that you used.
So in reality, a lot of these small companies really should just be preparing themselves at this point.
Absolutely. I mean, look at what restaurants have done with the price of eggs, right? You don't go and they haven't changed the pricing of their egg dishes on the menu. Half of them have a special little card that says, hey, we're charging a $1 per egg premium or whatever it may be currently to combat just the crazy prices of eggs right now.
Well, and again, they're volatile, right? Lots happening with them.
Yeah, we're not going to forever change our business model and our pricing structure because
we're just going to get rid of eggs completely.
Yeah. Let's, as a breakfast restaurant, remove eggs from the menu. No more eggs. We're going to replace it with.
Was it the fake eggs that they have?
Oh God, please no.
The microwavable ones. So Eric, kind of as we wrap this up, what is a message you'd have to any automotive repair shop to combat these upcoming tariffs?
Step 1, don't overreact. This is probably going to be a good thing as long as you stay on top of it. Start taking count of what your parts are coming in at, if they are experiencing tariffs. Do they fit nicely still inside of your matrix, right? Hey, let's take it even back further. If you're not using a parts pricing matrix, it's a darn good time to implement a parts pricing matrix.
Absolutely.
Instead of, thumb in the air pricing strategy. And then if so, right, hey, pay attention. It's time to analyze what these things are coming in at. Does it still make sense inside your matrix? Is it affecting your sales too much? The more you pay attention, the more vigilant you are, the more you can react to what is happening and properly adjust things for your business.
And even just aside from all those things, look at the products that you have on your shelf and maybe look at the box and say, where is this coming from? That you can be aware and, it's as proactive as you can be.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what a great example of an exercise you can do, right? You can run a parts usage report, take a look and see, hey, what are the top 100 most commonly used parts that we're using and their associated cost, where are they manufactured? Take that list and say, okay, you go online and figure out, here's a plug for using ChatGPT, right? We can ask and see what the current tariff rates are on, automotive repair components or whatever you're sourcing from that destination country. And you can start modeling out actually what you should prepare yourself for.
Perfect. Eric, anything else you can add?
No, like I said, more than likely, all of this noise, all of this change is probably temporary. Let's not overreact. We're not going to shut our doors. We're not going to do anything crazy. Let's just stay vigilant, pay attention, keep your eye on the ball, and we'll probably walk out better than we came in on this.
Perfect. And of course, if there are any other major tariffs, we'll come out with another podcast episode.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Kaizen Time, part of the Blood, Sweat, and Business podcast. If you like what you heard, subscribe and leave a 5-star review. This podcast has been brought to you by Kaizen CPAs Plus Advisors, providing advisory and accounting services to help you grow your business. Learn more at kaizencpas.com or email us at bsb@kaizencpas.com.